So as of this video posting, the summertime is officially over, and we've had quite the amount of events that transpired. You see the title of the video. It's time to hit the reset button. There were too many news stories within the news cycle making their rounds over the summer, and it's time to woosah. It's time to take a break. It's time to detach ourselves from social media, from the news, from anything that's a distraction to your purpose. Think about all the news stories that have transpired for the last 3 to 6 months. From all the surprising or maybe not surprising deaths, to the political news, to some of the weird behaviors by just people, on trains and buses, to the recent Charlie Kirk story. We have the 3-eye Atlas story with whatever that is, flying in the sky or space or whatever. There's so many news stories happening in succession, and it's time to decompress and hit reset. Get back on track, get back on the things that truly matter. Your hobbies, your interests, simple walks in the park, simple drives on the highway or freeway, whichever you prefer to call it. Apple picking, pumpkin picking, I don't know. It's time to just get back to the basics. We've been distracted for far too long now with some of these stories. And I know it's not the end. Anyone with a brain knows there's going to be another story. In fact, by the time I release this, there's going to probably be a big story that will trump what I'm saying now. Because we know, especially in American culture, no news is news. And we can go a day or a week without some kind of foolishness happening. That's as impactful as the next great news story. Oh snap, there's been no assassination. I'm besides myself right now trying to keep up. Just trying to keep up. Here we are, pretty much the end of the year. 3 months remaining before we say, sayonara to 2025. And I'm kind of walking on eggshells, just trying to think about what's next. What are they going to hit us with next? And that's... Who's honking? There's never been a time that I can recall in my life where each day or week was like a one big guessing show, one big, pop quiz. What's going to happen next? I don't remember it. I'm somebody who used to read the newspapers every day. And, you went through your local news, things that happened in your town. The impactful news stories were maybe quarterly, not every week. So if we had a situation, say Columbine, which happened in 1999, you wouldn't expect another Columbine story that year. In fact, you wouldn't expect it for a couple years maybe, or maybe not expect it at all, because we weren't going through things like that in the 90s often. If you had a situation like a Jeffrey Dahmer story, that was like a lifetime type of situation. Not saying things like that didn't occur, because we know there's been weirdos historically, but these weren't stories that you heard in succession. You didn't expect to hear it again in another month. You didn't hear the John Benet Ramsey stories every 2 weeks. Again, these are news stories that may have occurred once that year, and you didn't hear anything outrageous like that for a few more years. Since 2000, when George W. Bush stole the election from Al Gore, there seems to be a news story every month, a major impactful news story every month. Back then it was a little spaced out because you were dealing with the Monica Lewinsky trial with Bill Clinton right before he left office. Then George Bush comes in, he steals the election. Then there's a few other little stories happening. And then before you know it, here comes 9/11. And then ever since 9/11, boom. But there's never been a time, aside from the 2000s, that I can recall where it just felt like, every day, what's going to happen next? So it's time to hit the reset button. It's time to remove yourselves from all the conspiracy talk, because if you go down that rabbit hole, from Malcolm Jamal Warner to the Charlie Kirk event, if you go down that rabbit hole, you may not get out. you may find yourself trying to crawl back out that hole and you just can't get out of it. There's so much content out here, and I don't know if that was the intent once social media was implemented, to just have content upon content readily available. Like, you can just handpick a news story and just create, a topic for the next month. I came across this video here.
More than 20 minutes with a needle in his hand, acting like he's gonna cut somebody, anybody that passes him.
Yo sigo derecho.
Then he got the needle in his hand, acting like he's gonna cut somebody. Anybody that walk by him, he act like he's gonna cut him.
This is just New York City alone. I can honestly dissect this video for the next 8 weeks and just label it, weird behavior, pulling footage offline and creating content day after day, wash, rinse, repeat. There's just enough material out there to talk about. And it's just time to remove ourselves and get back to the basics. And I don't know if the general population deep down knows how to remove themselves from all this content. As Denzel Washington once said, if you don't watch the news, you're uninformed. And when you watch the news, you're misinformed. It's kind of like what does one do? I didn't even find out about the Charlie Kirk incident until maybe a day later. That's how far removed I am from news topics. Because I've taken it upon myself to really be about this life of being in my own bubble. So when I saw the gruesome footage and all that stuff, I was like, oh, well, who's this guy? I've seen his face before, but I just didn't know who he was. I've removed myself from politics, and I've removed myself from a lot of other distractions, because all it does is incite anger and reaction and emotions. And it's hard enough living. It's hard enough dealing with people day to day, different personality types. So what do I look like getting heavily involved in a news topic that's only going to create more division, as we've seen since his passing? Both wings are part of the same bird. Left, right, doesn't matter. They're part of the same bird. It's just, once you grasp that concept of thinking, then you can pretty much overlook all these little, distractions in politics. But again, as we enter the fall, let's just reset ourselves. Get back to the basics. Do the simple things. Less is more. Consuming yourself with all this information and all this negativity and lowering your vibration and creating anger and being mad about people you don't even know, that don't even impact you really. It's a waste of time. And when you understand the big picture of how, I guess, life truly works, man, this becomes so much easier. Many of us are desensitized to this stuff anyway, people like myself. So it's just take it all in. Don't allow it to affect your mood. Don't allow it to affect your energy. Try not to, at least. And just get back to the basics. Hit that reset button and let's start over, because they're going to hit us with another news story in due time. You know it's coming. So once you prepare yourself mentally and emotionally to overcome all this nonsense happening, life becomes easier. And don't get me wrong, I go down my rabbit holes often, but I've figured out how to remove myself from it. I've just figured it out. You can too.